My name is Robbin Miller. I am the host of Miller Chat. This is my first show for 2023. In a few months, I will be on the air for 24 years. So I'm still going and still ticking. I'm very happy today to introduce my guest for the show. It is Lisa Shea. Lisa is a author of 500 works and also an artist for watercolors, photography, and cyanotypes. Is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And then at the end, will give you the website where you can get the information. So thank you for coming on our show. We planned this in November, and you see how time flies.
Yes.
So, okay, so to no further ado, let's start the show. So, why don't you tell viewers a little bit about yourself as an author and an artist?
Okay. Well, we'll start with the author side. I do have 500 works out, and part of the reason is that I like to write in a whole bunch of different topic areas. So it might be harder if someone was only writing romance stories to keep thinking up new romance plots, but I write romances and mysteries, fantasy and science fiction, dystopian, time travel, all sorts of different things. So I'm always coming up with new ideas. And when I do, I just write them and I self publish on Amazon. So things can go live pretty much instantly. For the, yeah, my cat, for the medieval stuff, I've got 18 books and I got the Knowing Yourself is the first one, but they're all set pretty much in Robin Hood era. And they're pretty much a woman with a sword who falls in love with a guy and they go off and right wrongs, save the poor. And then part of the fun series that I've got is a local murder mystery series that I started with Aspen Allegations. And those are all set in Sutton, Millbury, Worcester, this region. And I write them a chapter a day. So on November 1st, I'll go out into the Sutton Forest and I will look for where a body might be buried. And then the next day, I'll go to Singletary Lake and I'll go around and say, well, where could they be talking about this body they just found? So it's a lot of fun to write it because I go exploring every single day somewhere around Millbury or Sutton or Worcester or the Grafton, the surrounding area, and figure out where I'm going to plant all these dead bodies or these suspects.
What inspires you to write, especially so many books?
Well, I think with the Sutton ones, I like celebrating the local area. I have a whole bunch of books that are set in the local area, and we've got so many fascinating pieces of history here. We've got all these local schools that are still being preserved, local churches, and it's nice to be able to bring them to a wider audience.
Wow, it's good that you do the work that you do. And then the artist side.
Well, on the artist side, I have a bunch of different interests. So I've got uh, Holga film photography. A Holga camera looks like this. It's made out of plastic, so it's nice and cheap.
Oh, wow.
The old style film that most people know about is 35 millimeter, which is about that high, maybe an inch or two. And the Holgas take medium format, which is a much higher size of film. So it's gives you a bigger negative, which gives you, on one hand, better pictures, but on the other hand, these things are made of plastic, so the pictures aren't so good. And I think part of the fun of it is people have all these cell phones and they're just taking selfies over and over and over again without thinking about the shot. But when you're shooting with film, it costs you money every time you click that button. So you have to be a lot more mindful and attentive to, is this really the shot I want to spend the time and energy on getting developed and so on. So it's a lot of fun to shoot film. I definitely recommend that everyone give film a try if they're able to, especially with these Holga things. These are so cheap that it's easy to get into it.
I see that you have a fur guest. Would you like to introduce your fur guest to the show?
Well, we've got two of them, a brother and sister that were rescued from a rescue shelter out in Webster. So this is Zuzu and her brother Felix is around here somewhere.
It's amazing how cats love Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Because they say it's all about me.
They just enjoy keeping me company while I do this. I do a lot of art videos, and the cats are always walking back and forth through the art videos.
Wow. So you're an artist and you're an author. Mm-hmm. So is there anything else you want to say about until we move on to the next question?
Yep. So one of the other types of art I want to do is called cyanotypes. And these, you mix together a pair of chemicals that become light reactive. And then you paint it on something. So this is on watercolor paper, but I painted on t-shirts, I painted on clothing. And then when you put something down on it, that thing blocks the sun. So this was a bicycle gear. And everywhere the sun hits turns blue. And everywhere that the sun does not hit stays white. So you could put down bicycle gears, or you can put down ferns, or if you have like little wooden letter blocks, you can spell things with letters. So that's a great craft, especially for kids, because the parents can paint all of the pieces of paper and the t-shirts and everything else, and then give them to the kids, and then the kids can have lots of fun putting, their favorite stuffed animals or whatever else they want to on the paper. And it just takes 10 minutes out in the sun for it to expose, and then it's done, and you can wear them. They go through the washing machine perfectly fine. So
Wow.
that's a lot of fun, but it's also a historic craft that was invented back in the 1800s. And that's how blueprints were first created. Because before
Oh.
blueprints, if an architect wanted to have a duplicate set of plans, someone had to carefully draw it by hand, and they would never get it exact. So every copy was different from every other copy. And when they developed the blueprint technology, they could finally make exact copies over and over, because they just put them out in the sun. The sun would make a copy, put another one out in the sun would make a copy. So that's where blueprints came from. And that's why they're blue.
Interesting. You mentioned that you have run children's workshop in the past.
Which kind of workshop?
Children, have you run these type of workshops for children?
Yes,
The
the Blackstone.
cyanotypes?
I'm president of the Blackstone Valley Art Association, and we run all sorts of workshops throughout the year. So we run workshops on
Oh.
cyanotypes, on film photography, on watercolors, and we take all ages for those. And a lot of them are free depending on what grants we get from the local cultural councils. So we have a variety of things that we help people get started. And the aim is, children can be beginners, but older people can be beginners too. So anyone who's interested in learning something about art is welcome to give it a try.
Well, I want to know a little bit more about the Blackstone. First of all, I didn't hear of it until recently.
Mhm.
And because now I'm starting, I think since COVID, I'm starting to hear about the one in Grafton. I'm starting to hear about the one in other areas. And all of a sudden, I heard about yours. So
Mhm.
is this basically a volunteer organization?
Yes, the Blackstone Valley Art Association began in 1957. We're all volunteers, and the aim is to help anyone who wants to try creativity to give it a shot. So we run workshops every month, and they're on random topics. So sometimes it might be cyanotypes, sometimes it might be watercolors. We have artists that do those kinds of little cute watercolors, and they'll come in Christmas and help everyone do, or Christmas, Hanukkah, all the winter seasons, and do different kinds of crafts for the different kinds of holidays. So it's aimed to be very inclusive. The spot that the gallery is in is run by Open Sky, which is an organization that helps people with a variety of different
Mm-hmm.
kinds of challenges. So we actively work to include Open Sky people and anyone else who might be challenged normally about doing these sorts of things. We want to help everybody.
I think it's interesting. I started, I think you may have heard, I started painting as a volunteer myself, not as to be an expert. And the
Mhm.
reason why I started this summer is because I couldn't do any gardening outside because it was so hot.
Yep, yep.
So I really, for me, it took a lot to do this,
Mhm.
to try it. What advice would you give to somebody like me who's purely left brain, as opposed to right brain? I mean, yes, I produce shows like this and that stuff, right brain, and I've done written books, children's books. But what advice would you give out there for somebody who's been in the left brain mode for a long time?
Well, I think part of the appeal of doing different kinds of workshops is you should just try things, because we'll do a workshop on jelly prints, which is like a jello kind of substance that you put paint onto, and then you just stick pieces of paper. It's very casual and fun, and you don't worry about, is it going to look right, because none of them are going to look like anything. They're all just going to look like splotches of paint. So if you release the expectations that it has to be perfect and the house has to have exactly square windows and all that other kind of stuff, and just say, I'm going to have fun making colors, then it at least gets you started. And then you can say, oh, I want to make colors that look like a dragon. Okay, well, now you can practice dragon shaped colors, and that's fine. But I think a lot of people get stuck at that first border saying, oh, other people can do things perfectly. I don't even want to try because mine is going to look like a pile of colors. And you just have to say, that's all right. I'm going to start with a pile of colors, and that will be fine.
That's exactly what went through my mind when I went to Michael's. I went from painting numbers.
Yep.
I actually went back and forth in the aisle saying, I don't know if I can do this. Can I do this? Can I actually free paint? So I
Mm-hmm.
got oil paints and watercolors.
Mm, great.
And ever since then, I've been doing the best I can. My son is my critic, my little 13-year-old son, who learned how to paint in school. So I
Mhm.
said, look, I'm doing this volunteer. Whether I sell something down the line, I'm not going to worry about right now. But why not?
Mhm.
Could be it's on my bucket list, and it could be on somebody else's bucket list too.
Yeah.
Being an artist.
Well, and if people can be really shy about not being good enough, but if you post your pictures and say, I'm just trying and this is what I'm doing, then you inspire other people who were scared to start and they say, oh, look, well, if she's willing to say that I'm just trying, maybe I should just try too. So, and then it spreads outwards. So it really helps other people when a beginner shares their artwork and says, everyone should just give this a shot.
Yeah, I mean, being an older person, I mean, the younger generation, their infatuation with social media, it's not something I'm interested in. So I
Okay.
figured, why be fun and creative?
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about the upcoming programs and shows.
Okay. Yep.
So
So the Black, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
So the Blackstone Valley Art Association has space in the Open Sky facility in Uxbridge. It's right on the main street in Uxbridge.
Mm-hmm.
So we rotate shows through there every 2 months or so. And the show that we have going right now is an open photography show. So every January, for any photographers in the area, we're always looking for people to participate in that. The show after that is for teenagers. So anyone who has teens from 13 to 19 that likes to do art, it's completely free. They can bring their art in and we'll hang it on the wall and we have a reception and we give prizes and everything else like that. The next show after that, we have some members only show, but membership is only $25 a year. And we do all sorts of different kinds of activities for that. So in general, it's well worth it. And any money that people put into shows comes back out as cash prizes. So we're not making money off the shows. We're using them as a way to reward artists and to encourage them to keep going. And some of the other shows we've got, we have a series show where people put together 2 or 3 items that are sort of related to each other. So you could do all blue paintings or all landscape paintings. So that sort of gets your creativity going. And then we have a forgeries show where people find a favorite artwork that they like and then they make a copy of it. And you can either try to make an exact copy if that's what you want to do, or you can make a fun copy where like you turn the Mona Lisa into a cat or something like that. So we have different kinds of shows and most of them are open to the public. Some of them are for members only, and all of them on our bvaa.org website. So people can take a look and see what's coming up so that they can plan for what they want to enter.
It's interesting. I was looking to do photography. I like with my phone. And one of the things I noticed that if somebody's interested in submitting photos, I think you have an upcoming teen show coming up. So they would have to tell them what they need to do. Say, for example, I'm a mother and say,
Yep.
What would I need to do?
Well, for most of our shows, we need the work to be wired because it will hang on the wall. We have a hook system that everything hangs up on the wall. But for the teen show, since a lot of teens don't know how to frame their works yet, we're more lenient. So for a teen show, even things that can just prop against a wall would be fine. So any kind of art that they can bring in that either can hang on a hook or prop up on a shelf on a wall is fine to enter. And we've got an online form so we know that the title is and the price if someone wants to sell it and those kinds of details. So we just need people to fill out the online form on the website so we can make the labels for the show. And then people all bring their art in on the drop-off day to be able to participate. But there's no fee, it's completely free. And we don't have any judging in the sense that some shows look at all the art that's coming and then decide which ones are going to be allowed into the show. But we let all the art into the show as long as it's family friendly. So as long as family friendly art is brought in, then the teens can bring it in. I think the only other requirement is that the teen make it. It can't be something that someone else made. It has to actually be made by the teen. But the teen can use a pen name if they want to. They don't have to use their real name if they're feeling sensitive for privacy reasons.
Now, if they, let's say like the Mona Lisa, say they wanted to do a Mona Lisa, they wouldn't be able to sell that, correct? Because it's not their original.
If they wanted to do a version of a commercial art like a Disney art, that gets into copyright issues. So that wouldn't be able to be listed. So it would have to be something that they created themselves. So that they couldn't trace Minnie Mouse and bring that in because that would be a copyright violation of the Disney people. But if they drew a mouse, then that would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, like your works that you do. And I think you gave us a lot of Sinotops stuff.
Yep.
And regarding the dress, can you tell me more about the dress that you sent pictures about?
Yep. So with the cyanotype liquid, it's it's like a paint. So you can paint anything and it sticks onto pillowcases and curtains and fabrics and t-shirts and all that other kind of stuff. So I bought a white dress and then I painted the whole dress with the cyanotype liquid. So now the whole dress was reactive to sunlight. And by putting gears down in different places, I want to make a steampunk kind of dress. I was able to get the gear shapes all up and down the dress. And then I put it outside in the sun for, 10 or 15 minutes or something. And then I just rinsed it out after that. And now it's a perfectly wearable dress with a steampunk gear design. So kids or adults who like to make different kinds of clothes could make their own t-shirts or make their own dresses or whatever.
And how is that different from the spray painting of the 60s?
Well, with spray paint, you'd have to carefully go around the edges of the designs and try to make sure that you got all the nooks and crannies and you are adding ink around the objects. And if it was something delicate like a fern, the spray paint could, make the fern leaves crinkle and all that other kind of stuff. So with the cyanotype, you're pre-coating the entire fabric, and then you can just carefully lay even delicate things on top. You could put lace on there, for example. And if you tried to spray paint lace, the spray paint would probably go right through the lace and coat whatever was under it. But because the cyanotype material is already coated with the liquid, you can gently lay all sorts of different kinds of things on it. And as long as it blocks the sun, then it'll create the impressions.
Wow. So do you tell us about, in terms of your background, do you have a degree in literature or art that makes you so well versed and very professional in what you do?
Nope. I grew up interested in science and I started working at Cambridge Bioscience and Biogen and other technical companies. So I was always a database designer. So I was heavily into biology and database design and computer work. And then in 1999/2000, I decided to run my own website. So I quit all of my tech jobs and I started running websites. So I've got 30 different websites I run. I've got Bella Online and Wine Intro and Romance Class. So for next 10 years, I made all my money from all the websites, but now people are blocking ads. So they're not, websites aren't earning that much money anymore. So then I still have my websites, but then I also began writing a lot of books.
Wow. So you do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I am always busy.
In the art world, besides doing your regular, being your everyday thing, running your own life. Do you have anything coming up for authors at the Art Association that you volunteer for?
The author work that I do is separate from the artwork that I do, and the local cultural councils give me grants to go to the local libraries and give a 4-week seminar for free to the participants that starts with a 2-hour session on writing, so how to write the book and get the book complete. The second 2-hour session is on publishing, how to publish using either traditional publishers or Amazon or Lulu or Barnes and Noble Press. There's a bunch of different options out there for people who want to publish their book. Wow. The third week is on marketing, so how to market your book using more traditional methods like book newsletters, newspapers, doing these kinds of interviews. And then the fourth week is all about social networking. So it's about Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and all the other ways that an author can get themselves found. Because every year now there's over 1 million new books going onto Amazon. So the flood of new books hitting the system is just massive. And the only way an author can get their book to be seen and read and get lots of reviews is to be sitting there doing marketing for it.
Like book talk?
Yep, exactly.
So much to learn. Amazing. So much to learn.
Well, on one hand, it's a lot, but on the other hand, as you know, as an author, it used to be that you'd have to pay a lot of money to do that kind of marketing, to put an ad in a newspaper, put an ad in a magazine, and now it's all free. So that is a really huge improvement. I try to work with a lot of people, sorry, who are lower income or have other challenges to be getting heard. And it really makes me happy that all they need to be able to do is go to a library with a computer and they can market themselves just as well as someone who has a lot of money. And it sort of levels the playing field.
Yes, it does. It does. And I think you have to keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
Keep trying until you get it right.
Yep.
Don't give up. Can't look back. Once you write your first book, you can't really look back and say, I didn't do it.
That's true. It's a huge achievement. There's a lot of people out there who dream about doing it and never get the book written. So if you've written a book, that you've already made a huge goal.
I like the expression, I could write a book. You ever hear the expression? Oh, I can write a book, right? It's amazing. Is there anything else that you want to share about for the show about what you do and the picture behind you? Did you paint that?
No, that's a tapestry that I use. I teach 2 teen writing classes every week. So during the teen writing classes, I try to liven things up for them. But they're amazing. I have a lot of faith in the coming generation because these kids are all 13 to 17 and they are just so inventive and imaginative with the worlds they're creating. So I think that's wonderful.
And where are they taught? Are they taught in school?
I run, there's a site called OutSchool that has different classes
Oh,
available. So I'm a teacher at
yes.
OutSchool.
Oh, very good. And you also said, do you have a podcast that you do by yourself? You said, do you have another thing that you do on
Well,
media?
I've got, I think, 14 YouTube channels. So I've got one for Sutton,
Wow.
one for Worcester, one for my writing stuff. So I've got all sorts of different topics that I write about. I suppose I should mention I run the Sutton Writing Group since
Mm.
we're local. So the Sutton Writing Group has about 80 members in it. And we're all writers in different stages. Some people are brand new people, some people are experienced writers. And every year for the past 8 years, we put out a compilation book. So we'll choose a theme and everyone will write. So we regularly publish our members' works to help them get out there.
Is there a fee to join that?
Nope, completely free. We meet on the second Thursday of the month from 6 to 8 at the Sutton Public Library. And we're always open to new members. So people can just pop in and see what we're about and talk to people. But if you can't go in person for some reason, we also send a newsletter around. So a lot of people share their information by email. So we're also fully available to people who can't come in person. And we do simulcast on Zoom. So you can join us from home with Zoom.
I love that cocktail. What do you think of places using uh, tail art of animals' tails? Have
Well,
you seen that?
yeah, and they have elephants painting things with their trunks. There's all sorts of different kinds of art out there. I think as long as the animal is having fun with it, then that's fine. You know, some dogs like jumping around on paper and making crinkly
Yeah,
noises. And if that makes the dog happy, then I am all for it. I'd be less happy if they're, forcing an animal or inciting the animal somehow to do it.
of course. Well, in the time we have, is there anything else that you want to say? Anything coming up in the summer?
Well, we've got different kinds of community artwork events coming up. So, like in Uxbridge, we do a sketch fest where for a month everyone goes around Uxbridge and sketches whatever they want to, and then we put together a show about it. So, there's all sorts
Oh,
of random types of art that we do. And I think the main message is that people should just try things. Don't be afraid about it being perfect or not perfect or taking pictures which don't have the right lighting or don't have the right framing. Just play with it in practice and see what makes you happy. Because it could be that you love black and white stuff and your friends all like color and they say, oh, why are you doing black and white? That's okay. Keep
mhm.
taking black and white pictures and fill yourself with joy.
For somebody like me who's older, I was always told as a teenager that I couldn't write or I couldn't paint,
Oh, well, that's
and
awful.
yeah, or I couldn't get a PhD. And so when I started to paint, that old broken record ran in
Yep,
my mind, and I
yep.
said, well, it's the 21st century, and if these Gen Zs can say what they need to say and speak out, well, so can I.
Mhm,
I'm not saying I'm a Mona Lisa painter, but the thing is, what do I got to lose? I'm just doing it on my time. I don't
mhm.
have a commission on. Have you ever been commissioned?
Yes.
You have. So somebody listening, how would they go about learning more about that?
Well, if they wanted to commission me, then I suppose they would contact me on any of the social media that I'm on. I'm on, Facebook, Twitter, and all those other kinds of things. But in terms of helping them get commissions, I would say keep doing the type of art that you love and then keep posting it everywhere because the more different systems you're on, you might not find people on Facebook, but maybe you'll find lots of people on Twitter, or maybe you'll find people on YouTube. So even if you don't like social media, it's really valuable to be on all the different networks and just post occasionally with whatever you're working on because it could be your stuff isn't liked in New England, but people in Arizona really love it. You never know where you're going to find your audience.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. And commission paint, can you, for somebody who may not know, can you explain what does that mean exactly? A commission paint?
Well, in general, with the commission, a person says, I really like your art style, and I'd like you to paint my dog in that style, or paint me in that style, or paint my house, or paint a pair of gnomes that have Christmas hats on, or whatever it is that they think is interesting. And now they're melding their view of what they'd like with your art style. And it's sort of a collaborative process, because maybe you've always pointed gnomes with red hats and they say, I'd really love a gnome with a blue hat. And now you're trying something new and they're getting something personalized. So it's a win-win for everybody.
That's what I'm hearing about. And of course, people can paint using a computer or
Mm-hmm.
digital, right? What do you think
Yep.
about digital painting? You think that will replace the hand and eye coordination and painting on canvas?
Oh, I thought you meant the AI created painting. So there's two
That
different
too.
there's
That
two
too.
different things. One of them is most of my teens paint on tablets now, so they're painting with a stylus on a artificial form. But really, it's no different than painting with a pencil on a piece of paper, because you're still moving your hand around and you're still creating the different shapes. So it requires the same skills, and it's better in a strange way for people with less money, because while you have to buy the tablet, then you're set for art supplies for the rest of your life, because you don't have to keep buying pencils and pens
Hmm.
and all that other kind of stuff. So it ends up being far, far cheaper to be able to just keep scribbling on a tablet and have the art done. So I think that is a great thing. The AI created art is a bigger challenge, because it's learning how actual artists work, like Alan Lee, and then it will just kick out the art on demand without ever paying Alan Lee for his style.
I attended a workshop in there. I was learning more about the multiverse and
Mm-hmm.
all that fun stuff. And maybe I'll do a show a little bit about how multiverse is impacting education, K through 12, higher ed.
Yep.
It has some concerning stuff, but yeah, I understand where that's coming from. So, well, I wanted to thank you for coming on my show. Lisa, your website is Lisa Shea,
Yep.
Lisa capital SHEA.com.
Yep.
Okay. And is there anything else? How it's so is there and you said there's a website for the Blackstone Valley Art Association as well?
Yep. And that's bvaa.org. So B for Blackstone, V for Valley, A for Art, A for Association.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on my show today, the first show for 2023. And I'm Robbin Miller, and have a good day.